There's never been a better time to have Sirius XM. With over 140 channels in your vehicle, your all-access trial includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.
Hey guys, what's going on? And thanks for tuning in to another lunchtime learning session here on CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, kicking off this week. Now, for most of us in Canada, it is a holiday today. So if you're catching this live, thanks for tuning in, but hopefully you're spending some time with the family and enjoy that time. I know I got a little bit of work today, but then I'll be spending the rest of this afternoon with the family as well. All right, we're going to be kicking off this week with a brand that we have been really after to get on because such an important brand, especially if you're thinking about cardio as a whole. Been around since the heyday, has innovated on so many different levels, too many to name. We had a great session with them during our industry week in the spring, and today they're back, and we're going to be diving in a little bit more specifically to certain topics. As you read in the description, we're going to be talking about sound quality and how important that is to the brand, and also how they deal with it and the type of offering that they have available. We've got some real talent with us today that can speak to the topic, both representing on the American side as well as on the Canadian side. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get these experts onto the show so we can dig into Pioneer Electronics. First up, we have our, basically our homie from Pioneer Electronics Canada will be joining us. You've seen him before. His name, of course, is Robert Mony. Hey, Rob.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Ben.
Thanks for taking some time on do you have a holiday in Quebec today?
No.
So you're working. So no, continue.
Yeah.
No.
All the time, 24 hours, 365 a year.
Yeah, you're very dedicated. There's no question about it.
Hope the connection is better now, by the way.
Oh, no, it's very good. This is exactly what we wanted. We're bringing Harry back on. We had him with us during our our industry week session, and he brings a wealth of knowledge. So we're excited to have him on. But before I get Harry on, today's show, we had a chance to discuss it. Why was it so important to come on today and talk about what we're about to talk about today?
We will have different type of discussion. We want to introduce you a quick 5 minutes, maybe on the new AV receivers we just introduced. But as you mentioned, we want to cover something that is really important for us about sound quality and make different kind of different type of talking about sound quality, because most of the time sound quality is attached to expensive stuff or these things. So for Pioneer, I think Pioneer think that we should bring to the masses those audiophile grade quality to a certain point, no matter if we're talking about source or speakers. So it is really important for people to understand now that audiophile does not necessarily mean really expensive or unreachable for most people. That this is really why we'll bring Ari over the table with us today in a way to have a nice discussion about this. There's no better guys than the national product trainer for North America to talk about it.
Yeah. So why don't we bring Harry on right now?
Yeah.
Mr. Kroll, welcome to
Good afternoon, guys, and good morning, everybody. Very nice to be here.
Just having a quick dialogue here, opening the show with Robert. He's talking about the value, bringing value, but yet not, sacrificing on the sound quality side of things, and that how, high-end sound doesn't necessarily mean high-end pricing. That's a value proposition I think that Pioneer holds near and dear, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, at Pioneer, we try to build products that will reach a wide variety of different people and different budgets. And we have done that, for the past 40 or 50 years in doing, car audio products. And we have some new introductions, new products to introduce that fit very much into that budget category, yet still provide excellent sound quality. And so if you wouldn't mind, Ben, could you pop up one of that first slide that we have that has the receivers on it, and we could take a quick look at some things there.
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
Yeah, here are a couple of new receivers that you'll start to see in the marketplace. I hopefully within the next few weeks or within the month. This is DMH 1770 Next, and this is Pioneer's entry level Apple CarPlay and Android Auto receiver. So this is a 6.8 inch. So it's a standard 2-DIN size in-dash receiver. Works with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with a wired connection, because this is definitely an entry level Next type of receiver, but also very capable of playing back higher resolution audio, 24-bit WAV files, 24-bit FLAC files, that sort of thing. And then we have some additional products that are a little more entry level and a little more price and budget friendly. And those products are AVH 241EX and DMH 241EX. So a CD DVD player with a screen, and also same size screen without a CD or DVD player. If you don't play CDs or DVDs anymore, there's no sense in buying a CD or DVD player. Then you have DMH 341EX here. These are all very similar receiver in the type of in their type of application. So you have a larger screen or a little bit smaller screen. The features are almost identical, but one of the features that I like to point out here is they're all a little bit shorter chassis. And for the shortest chassis that we make, that's our higher end products. These are a little bit shorter, but not the completely squashed down chassis. The ones with no CD DVD player built in. Of course, if you have CD DVD, you got to have the full depth chassis. And all of these receivers are capable of playing back 24-bit WAV files and 24-bit FLAC files for high resolution audio. Now, I want to point out that these are entry level receivers. And while they can play back 24-bit resolution audio, they're actually playing it back at 16-bit or CD resolution. All right. Now, the reason I want to point that out is if you are a high resolution audio fan and you have 24-bit WAV files or 24-bit FLAC files in your collection and you play that at home, there is no reason for you to convert that to another source. You can take direct copies of those files, bring them right into your car, and they will play back at CD audio resolution. So they are excellent products and very, very affordable for many users.
To make it ground level kind of, so we have built-in converter, so it's a real-time converter in the receivers that doing the scaling to match CD quality. So there's no need for the user to compress or reconvert those FLAC file under a format that will be compatible with our receivers. Our receivers will do the task for it. So one database, easier to manage, and you still enjoy 100% of the free lossless audio codec, which is FLAC. So that is really a great thing.
Could you repeat that? What was that? FLAC stands for?
Free lossless audio codec.
Thank you. I did not know that. I appreciate you actually spelling that out. Okay, perfect. Now, guys, as you can see, I've been kind of flipping through these shots, and one thing that I've noticed is that every single one of them have those features that you're speaking of, and these are all in the entry level kind of.
Yeah, this is actually the most affordable touchscreen receivers from Pioneer, and all of those have the FLAC support, as Ari mentioned. This is really important for us to give audiophile quality to the masses, like I said.
So Ben, I saw, and I think many of us did, some years back that audio and people who love audio are making a comeback. I grew up in the 1970s and the 1980s, and I can tell you that everybody had a gigantic stereo system in their home at that time, gigantic stereo system. And tons of people were into audio. As things evolved and we came into the 90s, and then there were MP3 players, and then there was the iPod, and then the iPhone, many people decided that they didn't need a gigantic stereo in their house anymore, and they decided to exchange that quantity and quality that they had for the convenience of carrying around a ton of songs on a little box. Well, when you gave away that quality, now you're getting, little tiny earbuds, and the sound quality is just not there. And very often the files that you're trying to play the music from are bad audio quality to begin with. And so this is a recipe for very low audio quality. I won't say it's a disaster, because some people are fine with it. But what we're seeing now over the past 5 years or so, maybe a little longer, is a resurgence of audio quality and people who are starting to understand that you can really get fabulous audio quality with home electronics and car electronics. And you can see that by the number of people who are buying turntables and vinyl albums. It's obvious that it's happening. And Pioneer supports this very strongly from the ground up. We are a proud audio company and always have been.
And that's very important that you mentioned that, because you hit the nail on the head, Harry. I look at my youth, for example, my kids, a couple years back, they thought the best sound ever was the best portable Bluetooth speaker they can get their hands on for Christmas. Yeah. Now they're starting to understand, as they're getting older, of course, they're starting to appreciate, when dad sits in front of his 2-channel at home and, they sit down with me now and they're like, whoa, wow, right? And I think that's going to translate into this new generation. And maybe COVID had something to do with it. I don't know if we want to go. Maybe you're spending more time appreciating music.
I think it's part of education as well. So once you taste something better, you will never go back. So if you stay with the good enough things, then you will be happy with the good enough things until the day that you listen to something and you say, oh, wow, that song.
Right.
Sound like this,
but technology has a lot to do with it too. We're talking about source, and you're talking about, because there was this gray zone of transition from hard media into digital media, and it's been a lot of up and down. And at one point everybody had a thumb drive, and it's gone through so many different trends. That I think we're starting to taper off now.
Yeah, actually, I think the what's bring music to the masses again with the MP3 and those things was also at the time her biggest enemy, because we need to compress the music in a way to store it in within a package that will be affordable, because memory was really expensive for those chipsets. Now a thumb drive is cheap to buy, so it's not a problem at all. And if you look at the current trend also on the market, just think about in the past month with Apple, Amazon, and other streaming services such as Tidal now bring to the market even free, like Apple just did, and Amazon with their Prime Music, where you can enjoy lossless audio now. At no more additional fee than it was for compressed music a couple of months ago. So this will help again. So it's another step in the good path. So vinyl is really one of the thing, with the experience, with the analog sound type of quality, and streaming is another brick in the wall to build that foundation again.
So having said that, what is I get the message. You're just, as your closing statement from the previous session here, Pioneer takes this to heart. We want to deliver great sound quality at great value. So let's talk about that. How are you doing that? How are you bringing audiophile grade to the masses?
Well, we started a couple of years back, Ben, with the first introductions of high-res audio components in our car audio systems. All right, so it started off with the TSZ or TSZ series speakers a few years back, when we went to and had them certified as high-res audio speakers. And for high-res audio, you need to be able to play at a certain volume level and through a certain frequency range to be considered a high-res audio product, and that's certified through a Japanese organization. And so the speakers we started off with at high-res audio certified. A couple of years later, we introduced some amplifiers that are also high-res audio certified. And about a year ago or so, we introduced our first in-dash receivers that are also high-res audio certified. And so now we can create an entire chain of high-res audio certified products, from the in-dash receiver, from the source, through the amplifiers, all the way to the speakers, and you have a very high quality product here. You look for that high-res audio badge on the products, and you know that it is among Pioneer's very highest audio products that you can get. There's a wide range of them available now.
Very, very nice. And I do see that logo present in certain some of the components, so that's what to look for. I've always questioned, where is that? Is that like, did Pioneer make that up? So now I understand that is actually a third-party certification process.
That's correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
And many different organizations can have their products certified as high-res audio products. Though it's not necessarily an easy thing to pass that sort of qualification. Some of Pioneer's amplifiers are not high-res audio certified. All right, and it doesn't mean that they're a bad amplifier in some way. It just means this is the cream of the crop. Those amplifiers and those electronic components are built with higher quality audio components. All right. And so those high quality and very high tolerance audio components are the important things that are put into place. So our high-res audio amplifiers, for example, all have Pioneer designed and branded capacitors built into them for very even, power supplies or power to the output transistors from the power supply to even things out. And you'll find this also with the high-res audio certified components, hand-picked audio products with very high tolerance. And this becomes really important in this time of, tough supply of audio components and transistors and so forth, because now you potentially have organizations that are buying any electronic component they can and creating an in-dash receiver with it. And I don't want to say that people are making in-dash receivers out of parts that are really designed for microwave ovens, but if you're not buying audio-specific products, audio-specific components, you're getting something that isn't designed for audio. And you start to combine these things together, and the overall output of the product becomes less than you want it to be.
We can't replace, actually, as I mentioned, a 1% tolerance resistor in a specific stage of the design with a 5% tolerance. Or if one manufacturer is not able to supply us for specific capacitors, as an example, then we can't just go over the market and say, okay, we'll pick that one instead, because the equivalency resistor is different, which means the capacitor will charge a different way and discharge a different way, which will impact in sound quality. So we need to stick with the brand and manufacturers and the suppliers that we are in a way to keep Pioneer quality and reference. So we're top tiers, and we're manufacturing from the source again and driving it through the ears to the customers, and we don't want to break that sound quality or as well as important as the sound quality is a product that you can rely on. So we need to be reliable as well over times.
Predictable results, I think, is what it is when you have control of everything, all the pieces at play. Two things I want to circle back to real quick on what you said, Harry. The first thing is the high-res deal. So I think dealers might be missing out on that opportunity or that sales tool to round out systems when selling to a customer. If you're pitching the component, whether you're starting at the speaker, starting at the amp, or going to the source unit, if you're pitching that high-res moniker or that grade, then it becomes easier to say, well, you need to match it with another high-res component, sir, madam, if you want to optimize, your system. So I think dealers might want to use that to their advantage a little bit more often, and maybe keep that overall price point a little bit higher, just because you're communicating to the customer that you want to optimize your system based on these certifications. That's number one. The second thing you said is, I think that speaks volumes to the manufacturing prowess of Pioneer. I did not know, for one, that there are components within for example, the amplifier that you said, they're actually from Pioneer. I'm not sure if I've heard of that from anybody else that ever does that. And that is very, very interesting to know, because like I said, the only way to have a predictable outcome is to have control of all the aspects leading up to that. So very cool.
Yeah, that's right. And, it goes to the overall quality of the output of the product. But, you can't necessarily look at specs on a sheet and see every specification and say, oh, this amplifier is better because it has these. Sometimes you can. But other things would be a little more buried. Like, for example, headroom isn't always something that's noticed or shown on a simple spec sheet on an amplifier. The high-res audio component amplifiers have much higher headroom than the similar amplifier that uses the off-the-shelf components. So it's simple things like that make that audio experience just that much better and qualify you up into the high-res audio certification range.
Very, very cool. All right, let's continue with the discussion.
All right. So, when when we design in-dash receivers, an important part of that is the flexibility of the design and how are you going to build your audio system. I mean, there's a million ways to build a car audio system. It's one of the things that drew me to this business many years ago. You know, do you want to run a separate amplifier for tweeters, a separate amplifier for mid bass, a separate amplifier for subs? You want to do it all from one amp and use external crossovers? There's, you know, I mean, it's just an example. There's so many different ways to do that. At Pioneer, we went back about 4, 5, or 6 years ago and designed the audio systems so that they do a thing that we call standard mode or network mode. All right, and I gave you a picture of that. If you could pop that up on the screen, it would be great. So we call standard mode because it's kind of standard, right? It's if you have 3 sets of RCA outputs on the receiver, you have one set is the front outputs, one set is the rear outputs, and one set is the sub outs, right? So it's front, rear, sub. We call that standard mode because it's standard. All right. But if you want to build a higher quality system and a more interesting system, set the radio up in network mode. And in network mode, that front output becomes the high outputs. This is going to connect to your tweeter amplifier. The rear output becomes the mid-bass output, the mid-range, and it has a high-pass and a low-pass filter. So it's a band-pass output. And then the subwoofer output becomes your low output. And with this, I have complete control over the crossovers and the slopes for this setup. And this is just an example of the low-pass filter for this particular receiver. You can choose 25 hertz, 31.5 hertz, 40 hertz, 50, 63, 80, 100, all the way up to 250 hertz. Now, I have this discussion on a very regular basis with people.
Harry, why is it such weird numbers?
That's the discussion I have with people all the time, Ben, and I'm amazed by it. Okay, so I get this all the time in personal meetings and in YouTube discussions and so forth. It's Pioneer. You guys are so dumb. I mean, 25 hertz to 31.5 to 40. Who would do that? Just make it like 10 hertz, 15 hertz, or whatever it is. You got to look at this and understand what it says. So if we start at 25 hertz and we count up 3 frequency points, you go to 25, you go to 31, and then to 40 to 50. So from 25 to 50 is 1 octave. And in that 1 octave, I have 3 crossover points. I can do that anywhere else. Say, for example, start at 50 hertz and count up 3 crossover points. You go 50 to 63 to 80 to 100. From 50 to 100 is 1 octave, and I have 3 crossover points to choose inside that octave. It works on every one of them. Start at 31.5 and count up 3. You go to 40, 50, and 63. 31.5 times 2 is 63. That's exactly an octave. 3 crossover points inside there. Once you've chosen your crossover point, you have your choice of 6, 12, 18, 24, or 36 dB per octave as the slope.
It's within the receiver, by the way. So a basic AV receivers offering you 36 dB per octave. Really impressive.
This is an incredibly powerful sound shaping tool if you understand a little bit about music and how music applies to the electronics that apply to your vehicle. And then, of course, I can reverse the phase or run the phase normal for that output. And let's dip into the time alignment for a moment. It's amazing. I have digital time alignment here. I can digitally, quote unquote, move that speaker away from me a ½ inch at a time up to 210 inches away. Make that speaker appear to be further away or delay the time that the sound gets to my ear from that speaker. This helps me to create a beautiful sound stage inside my vehicle. And probably the most powerful tool that I have here is the speaker level. I have independent volume control over every speaker in this system. I can manipulate the output volume of the left tweeter as compared to all the other speakers in the vehicle. I can adjust the volume of the left tweeter and not adjust the volume of the other speakers in the vehicle. And that goes for every speaker. I have complete independent volume control over every speaker. Now, the vast master volume changes everything at once. But to set up my system, I could have a +3 on one speaker, a -10 on another speaker, and a -25 on another speaker, for example. All independently controlled, all directly from the in-dash receiver. These are extremely powerful audio tools and audiophile grade tools.
So, I'm going to have some questions about this.
Fire away.
The first question I have, at what range of the product offering do we have this menu? This
Okay,
functionality?
so that's very interesting question. This is standard mode and network mode, and this is about 2/3 of the way up through the lineup and everything up above that.
Okay,
Okay,
2/3. Fair enough.
So
approximately.
in Canada, every NEX model within the 500 series or 600 series will offer this. So from a entry level, even, sorry, I forgot the MVH 1400 NEX, which is the entry level CarPlay NEX receivers, have it.
Okay.
So
Now
we can say more than 80% of the touchscreen receivers have it.
Of the touchscreen.
And you have something similar also, even in DEH audio receivers, as an example.
Yeah, standard audio receivers without a screen still have, many of them still have these same functions.
Interesting. Okay. My second question to that is, when it comes to the time alignment, this is based on measurements that are manually inputted?
That's correct. You have to manually input them. Now, some of the advanced Pioneer receivers also have an auto time alignment function, auto EQ and auto time alignment function that's available.
Question.
Okay, but the most modern receivers do not. That setup function's been taken out, so it's a manual time alignment for many of the receivers.
Okay, fair enough. So this is just basically enter distance by speaker.
Yep. Sit there at the steering wheel and measure the distance from your ear to that speaker and set that up on that speaker.
Just one small additional point, which is really important. Even those units, like if we think about the AVIC receivers, so with the built-in Navy, you have that auto EQ features or auto time alignment with the microphone. Our design within that process is not a fully locked design. This is a modular design. So it can do audio adjustment, as an example, fully automated with the microphone, and you can go back under a certain specific setting because you have some specific preferences, as an example. So you can change little details after that, and this will not break all the other things that you set with a microphone beside it. So it's really modular approach. Everything is within a silo, isolated from each other.
I noticed you didn't talk much about the phase. I think that's a really nice option to have there, to turn the phase into normal reverse right there on the screen, as I can see in the image on top. And the other thing is, I look at this again. I'm trying to be in the shoes of a retailer. Not everybody has the budget to come in and do these big DSP systems or separate DSP processors or buy the big multi-channel. They're a lot of money. You know what I'm saying?
They are.
But you can still come in and get front speakers, rear speakers. Maybe a 4-channel and a mono amp, and still have a little bit of DSP control just from the head unit without spending that next step, which is a big step. And I think that's a lot of added value, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
it is. These receivers, most people will want to go with standard mode, which is front, rear, and subwoofer output. That still offers you all of these crossover frequencies. It still offers you almost all the slope control. You still get the phase control. You still get the time alignment, but you're doing it as front, rear, and sub. For me, a little bit more advanced system, instead of operating my system front and rear, network mode allows me to operate really a stereo system inside my car, a 2-channel stereo system inside my car, instead of front and rear.
Anybody who's know what they're doing with this probably get a decent stage out of that just with these settings.
You very well can. If you sit and listen just a little bit, you can make pretty good adjustments with just your ear.
Very good. Cool. Nice feature. Let's keep it going.
So let's talk a little bit. We were talking about all of those crossover points and so forth. And even with some of the new amplifiers that we've introduced just a little while ago, we have some new Marine amplifiers. These are very high quality Class D amps, and they offer the same type of, actually even a little bit more expanded, crossover and slope settings that you find on the receivers. So this amplifier is a fully waterproof amp, and I think, Ben, you have a little video. If you want to play that, we could look at that, and I'll talk over top of the video if you want. And these amplifiers are waterproof but very high quality Class D amplifiers, and they can go on your motorcycle, they can go on your boat. but they can also go on your ATV or your side-by-side or whatever you want to do and drive around in the mud and have some fun with it. They are fully capable of doing that as well. Even though they are designed as marine amplifiers or they are designed as an ATV amp, there is nothing stopping you from taking this very small amp about the size of a common red brick that you would see in a house and using that in your car. I think these are great amplifiers, and they are among the most advanced amplifiers that Pioneer has ever produced.
I'm playing that video right now there, Harry. I mean, what's happening here?
Okay, so this is a little experiment I did in my basement. I took my aquarium and I filled it up with water, and I took one of the new amplifiers. You can see there that the power light is on, and I'm just going to take it by the wire harness and throw it in the water. And I'm going to make sure that wire harness is in the water. You can even see on cue a couple of bubbles coming up out of the screw holes there. And there you go, Pioneer amp lit up and working underwater. So you can see, fully waterproof if it should get splashed or something. And if you ever need to clean it off, you can, because it's on your ATV or on your boat, something like that, on your side-by-side, no water, no problem squirting this thing off. You could spray it with a power washer if you wanted, though you probably would want to be careful with a power washer. You could probably mess it up. If you would get a little mud on your amplifier, for example.
Yeah.
I don't think it's any trouble, all right? Because you can just take a little water and hose that off again, and it won't be any trouble for you at all. These are Pioneer's latest. This is a 4-channel and a mono amplifier with this exact same chassis design, and there you can see the power indicator lights up to let you know everything is okay and you are still operating like normal. But these
really
are very
important here, guys. Just to mention, really important. No fishes were harmed in the process. So Harry took time to safely move the fish in another aquarium first.
Perfect. Couple questions for you based on your comment. We talked about this a lot, especially during the spring when these kind of came out. I have a question. Actually, I have a viewer with a question. Let me go with that first. Paul Ben would like to know, that's awesome. How well does it deal with thermal?
Oh, that's a very good question. Okay, so if it is baking in the sun, it's obviously going to heat up a little bit more than if it was in a hidden location or in a covered location. But our experiments with it so far is you can drive around all day long with it, and it really doesn't heat up at all. The heat sink on the outside will get warm, but you still have quite a ways to go. And part of that is because of the highly regulated power supply inside these amplifiers. All right, so for example, the 4-channel amp here is a 75 times 4 at 4 ohms. It's also 75 times 4 at 2 ohms. And so if you double the output power from the, if you half the impedance and effectively you got to double the output power from this amp, the power supply will continue to regulate and protect the amplifier as you are, operating it all day long in that process. Highly regulated power supply like this, a computer-controlled power supply, is really important. If you have any dips in the voltage that are coming into this amp, it will regulate that output very carefully. So it works anywhere from 10.8 to 15.1 volts, and the output that you get from the amp is always the same. You don't need to rev the engine or something crazy to get different power output.
That is actually a double win on that thing. So we're doing a better efficiency on the thermal management, but at the same time we're doing a better efficiencies from the control of the output rails of the power supply that will feed the specific voltage that we need to amplify that audio signal. So which means it's a win for the audiophile stage as well. So as an example, if I need to have a plus 40 volt and a minus 40 volt at the power supply section, at the output of the power supply section, that will be used to supply the amplifier itself. If I need to have 40.001, that will be 40.001, not 40.1. So it's rock steady supply voltage, because we're doing in that case with those new GMME amplifiers, and that is the same thing for that through marine amplifier, by the way, which is a 6-channel totally independent control. So those new power supply section do a correction 96,000 times per second.
The very, very useful information, and the comment I wanted to make now that I've had some time to process this training on this particular item. I think Pioneer might be knocking on a new trend for manufacturers. And you're like, what is that, Ben?
What is that, Ben?
I don't think there needs to be a separate power sports to separate marine to separate anything when it comes to a classification of an amplifier that needs low power draw and handle extreme conditions. I'll call it extreme conditions because that mud was pretty darn extreme. But you know what I mean? Like, I can't see, other than if you wanted it white because it's marine, or I don't get it. Like, I don't. I think Pioneer is one of the first to come out and say, listen, this is what we made. It handles every situation you can throw at it. It'll work wherever you want to put it. It's not going to drain your battery out. And it does everything you need to do it in a small package.
Yeah, and it's small. If you look at
inventory, I'm talking from an inventory standpoint. I'm a dealer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to have this and that. It's boom. Oh, this is for what vehicle, sir? Oh, it's for this. Perfect. We got you.
I think it's a great point. Yeah,
you can hide it in the dashboard section or behind the trim panel in the car. It's a small car with small. Yeah.
Right. Jeep owners, they run top down a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's an option.
Sure.
I don't know if it's small enough to fit on a bike. I haven't really explored that.
In a saddlebag or something, I think it would fit pretty well.
Yeah. And you mentioned one other point. We're not actually saying it out loud. I don't think so. But there's a common issues on motorcycle actually within the market about installing digital amplifiers on bike or side by side. The main issues we can see that as well in car as well, because digital amplifier will create some kind of EMI from the switching power supply. Okay, that EMI, electromagnetic interference, will create some interference over the tuner section. So if you are installing a digital amplifier close to the tuner module in your car, that will have negative impact on the
tuner,
quality of your
FM
tuner.
Tuner? Is that what you're referring to? Satellite radio tuner? What are you talking about?
We're referring to FM tuner. Okay. So as an example, many guys who are installing a small digital amplifiers on their Harley Davidson, as an example, will have in some scenarios complained about poor tuner quality reception.
Interesting.
Following the installation, it's because of the cross interference. If you look at that little beast there, that the black one, we took time to look at the design in a way to minimize to the maximum that EMI. So even if we're using a digital switching, we can compare that things to be close to 20 dB. So each time 3 decibel is twice, so 6 is 4. And do the math. So if we're comparing with many popular brand, we're 20 dB better in the signal to noise ratio for those type of EMI, which is really big. So again, it's lower interference, but it's mean the same for the audio thing, because if I'm not generating noise, that will affect the tuner section. I will not generate noise that will affect also my speakers or the other audio component in the car.
Yeah.
So noise is noise, no matter what it is noise. So if we can manage it a better way, then we're giving a better result at the end.
Fair enough. Okay. Very cool. Harry, you have the comm.
So, all right. Well, let's touch on speakers while we're here. We make speakers for your vehicle. And when I say for your vehicle, I mean for your car or your truck or your boat or your motorcycle. And again, it doesn't really matter that much, but we have specific products that are made for specific applications. All right. So I like to point out that Pioneer is a speaker company. We started back in 1938 as a speaker company, and we are still one of the largest speaker manufacturers in the world today. We make speakers, speaker parts, and finished parts for many, many different companies, including Pioneer. And Pioneer develops manufacturing techniques for speakers that are used within our factory space. And only after there's a new technique that is developed does that technique, maybe that first one, become available to other manufacturers? All right. And so one of the things I would like to start off with is, well, I was going to start off with a marine speaker first, Robert, if you have one there. Our Pioneer's marine speakers are built to withstand water getting splashed on them. They're built to withstand sunlight. And there are, like this, the tower speakers, you get them full of mud or something else, you can hose them off just like we said. But these speakers are built from the ground up to be marine speakers. And do you notice that tweeter's a little bit not in the center?
Yeah,
do you see that?
It's like higher.
Yeah, it's off. It's like, seriously, Pioneer, couldn't you hire an engineer that could put that in the center of the speaker where it's supposed to be, right?
Pioneer, stupid. Why is the tweeter crooked?
Yeah, it's crooked actually for a reason. It's crooked so that if you're a wakeboarder, that little bit of offset of the tweeter with the woofer behind it lets you hear the music more clearly when you are 30 meters back or 20 or 25 meters back. You can hear that music more clearly because of that offset of the tweeter. It's done that way very much on purpose. Another thing that's done very much on purpose with our marine speakers is the way that we connect the surround of the speaker to the speaker cone. When you build a marine speaker, the part that fails first is the adhesive that you use to join the surround to the speaker cone. We recognize this at Pioneer, and so what we did was developed a manufacturing technique that does not use adhesive. We join the cone to the surround with no adhesive. With no adhesive, the adhesive doesn't fail, and this creates a product that's lighter and more rigid than before, but also more reliable and longer lasting.
Yeah, because the failing point is always going to be the adhesive agent.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Actually, it's a thermal bonded process.
I was just going to say, is it bonded? And there is.
Yeah. So within the injection of the cone itself, we will take time to insert the suspension as an example. So it's really creating a one piece of material design. So
when we take this over to car speakers, Pioneer is a manufacturer of car speakers. Since the 1970s, we are a tier 1 supplier to the auto industry for speakers and other parts. So we have supplied speakers to Toyota and to Honda and General Motors and Ford, and you name it, we've supplied speakers to a lot of different companies. We have the specific sizes of these speakers and understand the applications. So we build speakers, aftermarket speakers, that are better products than what the OEMs buy, but we can mount them correctly in the doors and other areas using the brackets that we've created and supply that. So really you have a product here that is made specifically for a car. You have a product here that's made specifically for a boat or other power sports application. What you don't have is a home speaker that we painted white and we're calling it a marine speaker. All right, so it is built from the ground up, all of these pieces, built from the ground up for the specific application where they are. Sound quality is always important and paramount to everything we do, but making that product reliable is just as important.
That is almost an unfair advantage that you guys have.
If I can add just a little things about what Ari mentioned about the specific build and design. When we do something for car, as an example, it's totally different room space or volume versus your home theater or your stereo system at home. It's totally different scenarios if you go on a boat, which is open space. So the audio characteristic will be totally different result from what it is. So I can't take as a manufacturers a car speakers, as Ari mentioned, or home speakers and say, okay, let's take a look at how it will react in a boat. It's not working for Pioneer. So we need really to think about that open space, the off-axis listening we have, the trim material from the door panel that we need to deal with, or the dashboard audio reflection with the windshield and the other components from the car, in a way to make it sound great no matter where you are in the car, which is totally different than having a direct on-axis perfect stereo system add-on with the dual speakers with the perfect stereo image, because I'm sitting in a Mony seat to have that perfect audio quality. It's really a big challenge that we need to deal with in car and in a boat application. So we need to take it from scratch in a way to give you a result such as the one that we have in an affordable way, by the way.
I was just going to say, because I mean, this whole
2,000 speakers is really great. A $2,000 speakers is really great, but how many guys can afford it on a customer level? So
you're talking about this great technology. You're talking about stuff that is being specifically manufactured, specifically engineered, designed for its application. And I want to round this conversation, bring it back to the beginning statement where you made is all this great technology, and does high end doesn't necessarily mean high end pricing. Yeah. So I'd like to see you show me some examples of this, or talk to this a little bit from a Pioneer perspective.
So TSZ series speakers, TSZ series speakers are our ones that are high-res audio certified. We have a couple of different pairs that are high-res audio certified, and the TSZ series speakers are wonderful speakers, and they come in component types, and they also come in full range types like coax types, that sort of thing. Or we have high component and mid bass driver and subwoofer settings or speakers that we can go with here. But they are designed around a consumer who can afford this product. So realistically, I don't know, $300 or $350 price range for the high-end components that we sell here. And I believe that they compare very favorably against $500 speakers or $750 speakers, or maybe even $1,000 speakers that are comparative in size. They sound great. I mean, they're really, really nice speakers, yet priced so that a lot more people can afford it. Now, some guys may say, look, $300 or $350 for a pair of speakers, that's crazy. I'd never pay that. That's fine. There are other options for you as well. Even in the TSZ series speakers, we can get that price down a little bit lower, but the highest end product is a little bit higher, but it's not that crazy price. And I wonder, if that sort of 80-20 rule that applies to a lot of things, like 80% of the business is done by 20% of the people, or maybe 80% of the performance can be found in a product like this. Is there better performance by $1,000 speaker? I would certainly hope there is. Okay. But is it worth $700 more? I'm not sure. Is there better performance in a $2,000 speaker? I would certainly hope there is, but I'm not sure it's $1,700 better than what I'm trying to sell.
Actually, I love to drive a Ferrari F8, but it's a dream I can't afford. So I can afford a BMW M2 someday, maybe. But again, as just Harry mentioned, so the F8 Ferrari is cool, but the price tag is not cool.
Look, the audiophile category segment, I mean, talking true audiophile when it comes to, it's not just about the sound, it's the whole thing, right? It's where it's made, how it's made, the woods, the this, the material. It's part of that whole thing. But let's be clear, this represents that much of the market.
It's a niche.
And it's great. It's a niche thing. Sorry, I had to bring up this. You have some fans watching. Obviously, Eric Perry here is a fan of the Z series. He only wishes there was a 6x9 component set. So I thought I brought that up. Maybe give you some feedback here.
Thank you, Eric. That is very kind of you to be tuned in. And I think you make an excellent point. While there are some 6x9 components not in the Z series just yet, but who knows? That may show up.
It's a great OEM replacement size, as you know, Harry. You know that. I don't have to tell you that. It is a great. It fits a lot of application. That's
just one more thing, because Harry mentioned about something really affordable but high quality construction. I don't know if I can show you here with the closer view. This is a TSZ tweeter. So if you look, it's actually doing a pretty kind of strange shape dome type of tweeter with a different material for the suspension. That tweeter technology is the way that we build it is a trickle down things technologies, but this is coming from all the research and the knowledge to build some kind of crazy stuff that we have that is a part of Pioneer company. From TAD, which is Technical Audio Device, where we are bringing some great and crazy audiophile type of thing for the home audio market. So TAD is a pioneer company. So we develop concentric drivers. We develop that HSDOM technologies, which is another acronym. I know, Ben, you love acronyms.
I love them. They're great.
So that's the way that we attach different type of material over the suspension to create really fast tweeter movement, but keeping the rigidity of the tweeter. So we are able to do those things.
Just to be clear, guys. Just to be clear, sorry, I wanted to clarify this for our audience.
Yep.
Pioneer is very serious about speaker manufacturing, been doing so since the very beginning. We saw a video in our previous training, about the factory and everything that goes into it. What you're showing here now is the very top echelon of engineering prowess from the engineer camp. They can do up to this, and from this technology, you extract things that trickle down to the products.
We have babies from those things. Yeah.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
Yes, very much, Ben. TAD, or technical audio devices, has been around for quite some time, and particularly in sound reinforcement, for example, in large concert halls, that sort of thing. TAD is a stellar performer. Pioneer has it's a different company right now, but Pioneer DJ also uses technology from the TAD systems. Pioneer DJ sells $50,000 speakers that kind of hang from a stage for pro DJ application. It's all TAD technology is also used in those applications for Pioneer DJ. And I don't know if you're a fan of going to clubs or anything like that, but real pro DJs all use Pioneer DJ equipment. There's just really no substitute for it.
This is a segue. I know we don't have much time left, but I have to say this. Back in the day, we used to do car shows across Canada, and Pioneer has been a big sponsor of ours way back. And we used to have a DJ battle feature. And we traveled with this huge Pioneer DJ kit. So it was standard equipment for all competitors to use. And that thing kicked butt. And no, I totally know what you're talking about, Harry. Eric is being persistent. I have to show this question. Is there a Z series 2 to 3 mid-range, 2 to 3 inch, I suppose, mid-range in the future, or even a nice seal dome? And is there? Is that something we can speak to?
Yeah, I can take it. We sent the request, and we really asked hard to the guys at Tohoku in Japan, which is the design center for all those speakers. So all Pioneer speakers and even more. So many electronics like the new GMME amplifiers are coming out from Tohoku Design Center. So we send those things on a wish list
so the
for North
feedback
America,
to Japan,
and we are waiting for feedback on their side.
Very good, very good. Ooh, some JDM gear. I love JDM. Yeah. Another acronym.
So this is actually a great car things like we were talking about the Ferrari F8. So this is close to it, or maybe a Porsche 911 GT3 or something like this. So still affordable, but really, really audiophile grade without any compromise. Those are actually a component set. So that is a 3-way. So with the woofer in the back. And if you look on the front right section of the screen, those are concentric drivers, CST drivers. So the tweeter is really inside the mid-range in a way to have coherent source transducer. This means I don't need to do any manipulation of time alignment electronically to have the perfect timing to my ears from the high frequency of the tweeter and the mid-range. In car, this is a huge benefit, capital case. So those are actually a limited edition in Japan released recently. And we are sharing those with you because we just want you to know that we are doing some crazy stuff, even more crazy than the things that you know in North American market. In some scenario, we can bring those to the market maybe in North America if the market is open to it, and if we think that will be a good thing. So there's room for other new baby or additional babies. It's not because we're not doing those. it's based on customer demands most of the time.
I love the pods. Those are really cool, and I love the basket design and also the interesting surround design around that cone. Probably, maybe something we'll see later on. Usually,
maybe
we'll see. Okay. Last but not least, here we go.
The Z series, which is actually our current reference for. I think we have in North America as well as the other countries, by the way, because they are worldwide for those series. We have I think we have the best return on investment, if I can say it this way. So the dollar spend versus the musical quality and the detail and the dynamics that you will have as a result in your car is actually amazing. So this is the go-to for any guys who want to be under a audiophile system without breaking their bank.
Very cool. What do you have to say about the Z series for the folks listening, Harry?
Actually, I forgot to put the stamp high res.
I automatically assumed that the top of the range.
That's why you asked. That's why you asked. So as a complete set, so the woofer here, and the mid-range drivers and the tweeter I showed you earlier, as well as a two-way coaxial system, because you can also have the 6.5 in under a coaxial speakers are certified as a high-res audio system. So going down to 20 hertz up to a 40 kilohertz bandwidth for the complete speaker system. To match, actually, even if we go higher, I think we go close to 80 kilohertz if you're including the harmonic of the audio output. So that is really the go-to. The woofer is only 0.6 cubic feet, sealed box, so really small space in your trunk.
That's a 10, right? Yeah, it's a 10.
Yeah, it's 10 inches. And actually, you can trick your body by doing a blind listening session in many situations where most, not to say all of the time, the guys will think it's a 12 inches or even a vented enclosure system because of the deep low end type of bass that most guys love to hear. So this is really actually this is my lovely piece. This is the best piece that Pioneer built since years for me to, if I look at all the products that we design and build in the past years. Really a magic piece from Toku, guys.
Cool. Anything to add to that, Harry?
No, I think Robert did a great job. The TSZ series speakers, Ben, are Pioneer's high-end speakers sold in North America right now today, but they're not overly expensive. They sound great. And if you've never heard them, I very much encourage you to give them a go. You're going to be very excited and happy with what you hear when you see the price tag. Can you buy a more expensive and a little bit better sounding speaker than the Z series? Yes, I think you can. I also think that this is the perfect combination of value and price for a really nice speaker product. And
that pretty much rounds out exactly what we outlined in the beginning of the show, and that was to talk about the value proposition that Pioneer offers. You know, whether it's the high res audio or you're talking about the Z series of speakers or the marine amplifier. You know, I think you've done a great job demonstrating the commitment and the engineering and the know-how, you know, that Pioneer brings to the table, and in an affordable way compared to a lot of other offerings in the same categories. I'll say it that way. Okay? Agreed. Yeah. That's it. We're at the end of the show, guys. I'm very impressed that we got it all in. So very good. I think anybody's going to watch this show. I want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in and asked questions. Thank you guys for tuning in, or whether you're watching this live or on demand. Harry, you know we're going to have you back soon. Can't wait to have you back. We're going to learn more. I know we got a couple more sessions.
I'll be very happy. I'll be very happy to help.
We also got you on some CMA Lives coming up, so we're looking forward to that as well. Harry, thank you so much for taking the time.
My pleasure. Always happy to help. You call anytime.
Take care. Robert, another excellent session. Very well planned. Very well executed.
Going too fast as each time.
Oh, well, you know what? This time we went pretty. I mean, I think we really got the message across. I think anybody who listened today or is watching back can really analyze, you know, the catalog, right? And take a look at that and say, you know what? There's a lot of value here. And I think that's one of Pioneer's strengths, and it has been for a very long time.
That's what we want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. Bonjour, mon ami. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon, Robert.
Thanks for your time again.
Take care.
Take care, guys.
There you have it, guys. Nice session there with the boys from Pioneer, both Rob and Harry, doing an excellent job, doing what they do best, and that is training and sharing and educating us on some of the many strengths that the Pioneer brand has to offer. I know everybody knows who Pioneer is. We don't need to sit here and tell you what Pioneer is all about, but it is our job as CMA to update you on the latest and greatest developments, and that's what it's all about. Because hey, nothing better than knowing what's new so that you can properly equip your store and translate that to sales for your customers. Thanks for tuning in to another session of CMA Connected here, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. I'll see you back here Wednesday and Friday. Talk to you guys soon. Until next time, we connect.